When you think of metal detecting, what do you think of? Ploughed fields, Celtic settlements, or even old Roman forts? Well, how about underwater? Some really exciting finds have been found in the rivers and oceans of the world. Come with us as we detect some of those waters in the UK and Norway and show you some of the different techniques you can use to detect in shallow water.
There are many different ways of detecting in and around the water, from just walking the beach at low tide all the way up to using diving gear to get the really deep stuff on shipwrecks. We started here with a process known as mudlarking, and I have to confess I had never even heard of the term until Gordon mentioned it to us. Well, he's going to tell and show what mudlarking actually is.
In the 19th century, children were the first mudlarks. They used to scramble around in the soft mud of the Thames foreshore at low tide, trying to find any scraps that they could sell to eke out a meagre living. Nowadays, mudlarking usually involves digging into river deposits and searching those deposits with a metal detector. What I like about mudlarking is you don't need expensive tools. A fork, a spade and a bucket to dig the holes, and of course a metal detector to search the spoil. But that metal detector doesn't have to be top of the range. Any metal detector will do because you'll be detecting just 2 inches of spoil at a time.
So we're on our way to a river that flows through an old Buckinghamshire market town to do a bit of mudlarking. The main idea is to detect in the shallow water around old towns and villages where there is likely to be a greater abundance of things to find.
We're all looking mainly for pilgrims badges. These were, when they do pilgrimages in the medieval period, they used to bring back souvenirs of shrines, and they ended up in rivers, a lot of the ones that survived.
So not only are we looking for pilgrims badges, but we're also looking for anything else that might have been tossed in or lost. People in the medieval period used the river as a dumping ground, so we could find anything.
Tack of some type.
Wow.
Okay, you see it comes out shiny just as it went in. And a few minutes ago, came up with a piece of leather, which is it's amazing how this stuff survives. Yep, and it survives perfectly in this waterlogged environment. Probably just a piece of iron, or a sharp piece of it. But again, you can see how good the iron comes out. I mean, there's no rust on that. If that had been that's iron. If that had been sort of a knife blade or something, it would have been perfect. Absolutely perfect condition.
I'm not making up this idea about mudlarking. There's actually an official society of mudlarks who search the River Thames in London.
You're a member of the mudlarkers, aren't you, Gordon?
I am, yeah.
How does that work on the Thames? Special society or something, isn't it?
It is. It's Society of Thames Mudlarks.
Yep.
And they have permission to, well, we have permission to detect on the north side of the Thames.
Okay.
In the city. And there's marvellous things found there. Yeah. Unfortunately, I live a long way away from the Thames, so I don't get down there. I don't get down there very often nowadays.
And they only allow so many, don't they? I think it's a historical thing, a historical right or something.
Well, it's a good time at the moment to get in to the Mudlarks, because membership has dwindled. Obviously, you have to have an interest in detecting in rivers.
If you're interested in searching the Thames, then get a licence by contacting the PLA. You can then apply to join the Society of Thames Mudlarks.
Oh, that looks like a...
Bottom of a bottle or a coaster or...
It's...
something.
It's something.
We'll put it in, we'll check my mate, check it out later. Don't throw anything away that we're not sure of.
This is a valuable lesson to learn. If you don't know what an object is, hang on to it and have someone else look at it.
All sorts of animal bones.
Oh, Mum!
That's not your foot.
It nearly was.
It wasn't your foot, though.
No, I said, ow, ow, I could feel it vibrating in the ground next to my foot. My foot was there.
Ow, ow, ow means you're sticking a crowbar through my foot.
If you'd stuck the crowbar through my foot, I would punch your lights out.
Yeah. Ow, ow, ow is the international language of it's hurting me.
Now you're probably thinking, this is one hell of a lot of work for very little return. But believe me, the stuff is there, and I've found some amazing items while out mudlarking. For example, have a look at these.
Not very much pottery. There's not many sort of other signs like clay pipes and things. So I may be wasting my time here. But you never know. You have to do these things to find good sites.
Now this is a good example of how important it is to do your research before you start digging. You can usually find things in any section of river, but you really do want to maximize the possibility of actually finding something. You just have to go with your gut feeling where you should dig and move on if you find nothing. I think we decided that this thing was probably an old iron stirrup, but it obviously wasn't the greatest of finds. So we move on.
Somewhat useful.
But before we do, we return the site to the same condition in which we found it. So now all is as it was, and we move on, leaving the place to the swans. Broken glass and dirty water are just a couple of the things that potentially pose a danger to you as you detect.
Before you start your search in any water, it's important to recognise potential dangers. These dangers can be obvious, like soft mud that you could get stuck in, or deep water drop-offs that you potentially could drown in. But there are also hidden dangers, like barbed wire hidden beneath the water, discarded by a farmer, that could tear and ruin a pair of waders. There's also a terrible disease called Biles disease. This disease is spread in rat urine, that it contaminates water. So you don't want to get water in your mouth and you don't want to get it into open cuts. So before you start searching in any water, recognise the potential dangers and avoid them.
Next stop, a farm in the Buckingham area that was the site of a mill in the medieval period. And of course, the stream used to power it. We've been able to get permission on all sorts of farms around the country, which has been great. You should always ask for permission before detecting on someone's property, of course. And you also let them know when you're going to be there detecting. And there goes Gordon to let this farmer know what we're doing.
The River Ouse in this area of Buckinghamshire is very, very wide, and there's usually a lot of water running through it, and it's very hard to search. But what I look for is where the river actually splits for a ford, because it splits the flow. So it makes it a lot less water running through it. It's not as deep, it's not as wide, and it's much, much easier to search. Also, the dredgers haven't completely destroyed all these areas.
Okay, now this looks like it's going to be a nice change from digging that great big hole that's sometimes necessary for mudlarking. You notice here that the equipment Gordon and Gary are using is pretty simple. Detector, waders, and a scoop. That's really about all you need to detect the shallow rivers.
Part of an old gate hook.
Not sure what it is. Part of something. Have a look later on.
The beauty about these modern detectors is that we can discriminate. So if there's iron in there, if we want to miss it out, we can miss it out and cancel it out because it's got the BBS technology in this machine. So also after a while I get used to the different tones and I can tell what I'm digging up before I even get it out of the ground, to be honest.
You'll probably notice that the types of finds you come up with will change depending on what the land you're detecting on was used for. Now, this place has been a farm for several centuries, so we expected to find farm-type objects where we might not find those types of things in other locations.
So how old was this mill, Gordon?
I think it was originally built in the medieval period.
Yeah.
The farm at the moment is, I think, 17th century. Probably built 13th to 15th century, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And of course, you're always going to come up with the occasional oddball find.
Piece of iron.
A key.
The key.
Now I wonder whose door that opens. Hey, Gordon, we're rich.
What you found?
Oh, guess what? He's too busy digging away. A key to your door. Oh, the lady on the camera. That will go in Fine's pouch.
Okay, I've got a signal here. I don't know, it's a very weak signal, but I'm pretty sure it's a non-ferrous signal. So let's get scooping behind it. Push down.
Notice here how easily the scoop goes into the mud. Now that makes for very easy digging, but typically the better and older finds are in harder packed soil. Not always, but usually. These types of streams with soft soil bases are still well worth searching though.
Oh, there, now it's a musket ball. There you go. Probably fired into the river. There's an indentation there where it hits something hard. There's no hole through it, so it's not a fishing weight. So yeah, a musket ball.
I think Gordon gets a bit sick of finding musket balls, but I still enjoy it. It's a piece of history just like anything else.
It's at least 100 years old, that organic layer which it was in.
Yeah.
You can see. So yeah, we'll concentrate here because there could be some good things here. I mean, I've had Roman coins out of this sort of deposit, so.
Another good lesson here is to not throw aside the things you know to be rubbish. Put them in a separate pocket of your finds pouch and toss them into a bin later. Don't leave the stuff on top of the ground for the farmers to deal with.
Coming up on the workings of the actual mill.
Workings of the mill.
Wow. I prefer searching the sides rather than going straight into the middle, because if there's nothing on the sides, there's unlikely to be anything in the middle.
Oh.
So the stuff on the sides tends to move slowly when it floods. So that's why I'm sort of keeping the sides to start with. Is it that? It is that. I have a feeling that is a part of a crotal bell.
Crotal bells were used by farmers in the 17th and 18th centuries in the UK. They tied them onto their animals so that they could keep track of them, just like the more modern cowbells are used. The further upriver we went, the farther apart the finds got. So we decided to stop. So let's see what Gordon's found.
It's got a button, look at the musket balls, cool. Maybe they fit in there like that.
Oh, yeah.
So the grand total for about an hour's worth of detecting was Gary's part of a gate, a key, and Gordon's 2 musket balls and some unidentifiable pieces of metal. But again, don't toss your unknown finds before showing them to others. So all this swinging of the coil and the digging looks pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, despite what you might think, there are some techniques that are important for this sort of thing.
Metal detecting in rivers is very, very simple, but there are a few basic techniques you must be aware of. Safety is paramount. It might be easy to get into the river, but sometimes it's very hard to get out, and you'll always feel a fool shouting for help to be dragged out of the river. One of the techniques that you'll need to learn is target recovery. For this, I use a scoop. When I get the signal in front of me, I place my detector head on my foot. I then swing my foot and detector head over the find until I can pinpoint it in the middle of the coil. When I've pinpointed, I step down with my foot on the find. I then place the scoop next to my foot, pointing it towards where I can imagine the find to be. I then lift my foot, step down on the back of the scoop, and if I'm lucky, scoop it up in one. This will take a lot of practice, but 9 times out of 10, I can scoop the find on the first attempt. Another tip always walk upstream against the flow. This way you'll keep your view nice and clear as you swing your detector side to side. As you can see, it's kicking up muck, but the current is then carrying that behind me. Oh. Now, that shows you what sort of condition iron can come out of the river. I mean, it's not rusty like it is on land. I mean, that's pretty perfect, nice and black, still nice and shiny. So it's amazing what can come out of the river.
Okay, so you've got your detector, you've got your waders, and you're looking at that river that you've been dying to detect all this time. Well, did you know that rivers can actually meander? They can change their course. Just because a river was in one location today, it doesn't mean it was in the same location 1,000 years ago. Now, when you first do detect your river, you may find that your finds are only going to come from certain sections, and in other sections you won't find anything but modern trash. Now, of course, this could be caused by just the current, but it also could be caused by the ancient river course only intersecting the modern river course in certain areas. And in those areas are where you're going to find the good stuff, and the other areas will just produce the modern junk.
Next stop, the medieval village of Corp Castle, where the three of us attend the annual Minelab Owners Club rally. Now, Minelab Owners is one of the world's largest online detecting forums, with over 5,000 members. Here you can find literally any information related to Minelab detectors and detecting in general. Every year, people from all over the world gather near Corp Castle for good company, good food, and of course, good detecting. And some Norwegian salty sweets. And while we're there, we also had a go in the local river.
I wonder where Gordon is. He's stuffed off down the river. We'll have to go and see if we can find him. So can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. If you say anything to me, Pat, I can't hear the words you're saying. Let's go see if we can find Gordon.
I should explain here that it's pretty typical of Gordon. He forgets that we're taping content for a show and goes off detecting on his own. Then we have to track him down.
Gordon! Gordon's gone. The treasure hunting bug's got him. He's gone. I'm never gonna... Gordon! Must have drowned and fell down a big hole. Gordon! He got a bit carried away there. Gordon! Got a coin? Really? Yeah. You got one? What's that?
Just a 3 decimal penny.
18. Was that in the mud, was it?
Yeah, under that tree.
1878. 1878? Coin. Bit of corrosion on there, not much. Clean it up later. Just shows you there's stuff in here. Any more signals, God?
I was hoping, doing this side where it's eroding away, I was hoping to get a Celtic.
Really? Take a drop off.
Oh, it's
Hey,
antique.
look at that. See that? That is a Celtic Stone Age pull tab. We're going to be rich, Gordon.
No, it's a pull ring, Gary.
Oh, sorry.
I think most of what's in the river at this point is quite modern stuff. But I'm going to go into the sides along here because there's a good chance stuff is falling out the sides with erosion, and you never know, we might get some older stuff out here. And where we are at the moment, there's quite a nice Celtic occupational site just up on this land here, so I'm hoping that there will be some Celtic coins, Celtic finds falling into the water. Do that side there, Gary.
Yeah? Okay.
Because the stuff's tumbling out the sides.
Alright, check it out.
Okay, this is also something I like to see, where you've got the old tree roots, and in the past I've found lots of coins that sort of get trapped under these trees. So let's see what's here. You can imagine coins falling out the side. sort of rolling off the clay and dropping off that edge. So you sometimes find them in a nice neat line. Right, and here we got another nice tree. Ooh. Unfortunately, I think this one's right on the bend here. It's probably caught every tin can floating by, so let's see if there's anything under it. And we'll go around and...
What do you reckon, Gordon?
I think we're wasting our time. Well, I mean, it's all the stuff is moving all the time. I think when it floods here, probably a torrent coming down this river. I can imagine that.
Coming down.
Even in the sides, there's bits of plastic and stuff. So the river was there probably 5 years ago, and now it's here now. And in 5 years' time, it'll be that side. So I don't think we got much chance of finding anything.
There used to be a mill up there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, let's move on. Move on. That's the name of the game. Yep. No stuff. Let's go.
Well, the guys didn't find much in that section of river, and we thought that was sort of suspicious because of the area we were in. We had a 9th century castle nearby, we had a medieval village nearby, the remains of a Roman fort nearby, a Celtic settlement nearby, and also some of the remains of fortifications built by King Stephen's army during the 12th century Civil War. So we wondered what the heck was going on. Well, Gordon's theory was that because rivers do change their course, they do meander over the course of centuries. The older section of river in that location probably was underneath the plowed field beside us rather than where we were trying to detect in the water, so we were wasting our time, unfortunately. However, a couple years before that, Gordon had gone into a section of river elsewhere in the country that hadn't changed its course over the last 2,000 years, and he found proof.
And the Adventures of Heritage.
September 2006. Gary and I nearly drowned Gordon because the water was a lot higher than we expected due to heavy rains that season.
Today we're going to do a new piece of river. Never done this river before. If we can find somewhere that's not too deep, I think at the moment it's about 7 foot deep, over, probably nearer 8 feet. So if we can find somewhere where it's a little bit shallower, hopefully we're going to find some nice bits and pieces. Is this here already? We got problems. This is up too bad.
No, but round the corner, you're all right.
Okay, this is a small stream running into a main river. We're going to see what's actually being lost right where it joins. It's a little bit too deep. We should make interesting video.
I'll get the rope out in case you drown.
That's very kind of you, Gary. Now, first of all, I'm going to try to find my scoop, which I've managed to drop. Ta-da! I'm using a stainless steel scoop, a underwater detector, and I'm going to work my way along this edge and hopefully find something nice. So this is just a little bit too deep for me to do this.
I can hear it.
It's a beautiful signal. Yeah. If I can dislodge
Definitely
it.
not iron.
Oh, it's not iron, no. And it's in the hard pack. But until I move it with my foot, I ain't going under. Miles disease, mate. Now I'm going to push it gently into the gravel. Scooping it gently up, lifting it up. And there's nothing in there. Because it's a rock solid bottom and I can't scoop it.
Now this is a long way from the soft mud we were in at the mill stream you saw earlier. This stuff is like concrete, so Gordon really needs some more weight to see if he can push his scoop into it.
Go on,
Right.
pressure on it.
Gary is going to give me some weight.
Go on.
All right, go down.
You got it.
Okay, wait a sec. Is it cold?
Have you got it?
Yeah, wait a minute. This is not doing my back any good, you know. He's a... Oh, a sec, Gary.
It's extreme detecting, mate.
Okay, Gary's assisting me now in adding me a little bit of weight so I can scoop this thing out of the bottom. And I still can't do it because it's rock solid. So what I've decided to do now. You got caught in my cable.
I'm drowning.
Can I have the mask? Give me the mask again, I'll have a look at it.
Now this is for real, people. Gordon did make all those dives down to the bottom to try to pry loose that signal. And if he doesn't have Weil's disease by now, he's probably not going to get it. So after all that, Gordon still couldn't get a good look at the location. Now by this time, he's getting pretty exhausted, so we decided to stop and come back the next day. Now, if Gordon can just survive Gary's help in getting out of his dry suit.
It's that way, Gordon.
Okay.
Well, let's get you. No, not yet. Should we take an arm out first? Are you going to get all wet, aren't you?
No, you've got to take an arm. You've got to take an arm out first. How can I take an arm out first? Without... Well, where's it going to go?
Inside the suit. All right. Then.
I'm sorry, but have I been?
You just relax. I'll do it.
That's it. The air's gone in now. Oh, that is so. Oh, that's one of those great feelings.
Another thing you want to look for is what's called hardpack. Hardpack was formed on the river fords, and the fords were actually more common in ancient times than the bridges were. Hardpack was formed by all the traffic back and forth across the river fords, the cattle, the horses, the people, the chariots, the wagons, all that traffic compacted parts of the riverbed into a concrete-like substance. If you ever run across something like this, when you detect rivers, make sure you detect that, because the finds, if you find them in that hardpack, are almost guaranteed to be extremely old, and in some cases they can come out looking absolutely pristine.
Going in?
That is rock solid. I'll tell you, this is going to be good.
I know it's going to be good. That's why we're here.
And so begins day number 2 of Gordon's attempt to get that find out of the hardpack. Even with the Barford bar to break up that hardpack a bit, this was still not an easy find to recover.
Just driving a hole down beside the find.
Yeah.
And then hopefully once I get under it, I'll be able to break up underneath it. I'm down probably about 6 inches now. Oh, it's getting there now. I'm into some soft stuff now.
And this may look like we're taking a big chance on destroying whatever this find is, but finds like this would never be found otherwise.
Try again.
So after hours and hours over a period of 2 days, Gordon finally hits pay dirt.
Oh, have a look at this.
No. You got it? It's a big round bro.
No, it's Celtic. There you go, a nice Celtic find.
Was that it?
That's it. Don't know what it is, but it's definitely Celtic design. Come forward a bit more, Gary. There you go.
Let's see. Keep going, lad.
That took me 2 days to dig that out. Oh dear. 2 days digging for one find. Okay, you've just seen me find a nice find in the river. Nice Celtic item. I don't want you to think that that was an easy find. We actually started digging this yesterday, and after about 2.5 hours, we couldn't dig it out. We had to come back with the crowbar. And today, it was still another 2 hours before we actually got it out. But The river is very rewarding, but it's not easy. It's not like digging on ploughed fields where you have multiple signals and you spend maybe 20, 30 seconds sort of digging each signal up. When you get a good signal and it's in a hard packed deposit, it can take you hours, but it's worth it.
Now we take a break from the rivers in the UK and head to the fjords of Norway to go over the basics of good beach detecting.
Well, here we are, my hometown in the fjord of Norway, where I'm going to introduce you to shallow water beach detecting. Now, I've come out early in the morning because this way I don't get interrupted by a lot of children or people asking me what I'm going to do. Now, I usually, when I come here, I find quite a bit of gold, and you say, but I can't show it to you because Camilla, my wife, weighs it in and sells it. And she says I can go detecting anytime I want. So a bit of a secret there is, if you find gold, always show it to your wife. I guarantee she'll let you go out detecting all the time. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some of the basic equipment that you need for doing shallow water beach hunting. Typical thing. First of all, before we go anywhere, we're going to need a detector. I'm using the Minelab Excalibur here, which is a waterproof to 60 meters. I also have, let me take this off, give me a second. I also have my scoop, which is specially made. You notice it's got large holes in there so the sand can fall through it and the gravel. I haven't got it in this one, but we usually have a magnet at the back there that captures the ferrous items. So when we're shaking it, the gold stays in there, doesn't stick. Right, we'll put that down there. The other bit we have, which is attached to the back of my belt, is the Sivcom float system. Very easy to make, the standard buoys that you get around the back of a boat. Notice the wire in the back there so we can drop our stuff in. I'll just show you how it floats here. See how it floats? Then you can scoop your stuff up. I just take some gravel or stone in there. See that? Shake it a little bit. And as you can see, it cleans and you can see exactly what you're doing. So, that's the standard stuff you can buy and make yourself from almost any detector shop. Let's now take a look at the advanced equipment that you can also use. So, here's some of the gear that I use when I go detecting in the Norwegian freezing cold fjord. Thermal suit, very important. I'm getting it fully clothed, keeps me warm. So getting that, and then we move on to the dry suit. Again, I don't have to have a spare change of clothes with me or anything. Just getting that, in I go. Fantastic. Moving along now, pair of gloves, two different pairs. Kevlar, fingertips so I don't cut my fingers on the glass. I also have another pair when it's really cold. Notice the wool linings there to keep my fingers warm. Also very important, I have a pair of scissors. Now if I get caught in fishing wire or anything, I can cut it free. Gordon also carries a Leatherman with him too when he's shallow watered hunting. So safety, paramount, always think about it. Moving along now, we come to the BCD, basic diving gear. Helps me stay buoyant and I can adjust the height and things I'm in under the water. Moving on down here now, this is the good stuff. Here you can see a special mask here, and in the mask we have microphones and we also have headphones in there. So you can hear what Gordon and I and Pat are doing underwater, and it comes all through this box of electronic tricks here. So Pat monitors us on the surface and Gordon and I can talk underwater, so you, the viewer, has a great experience of what we're doing. Moving along again, oh, that's heavy. It's even heavier when we've got another battery pod and the lights on it. This is the water camera housing, and it's waterproof. Fantastic piece of kit. Okay, of course, my air supply here. I do have a bottle of emergency air, but I haven't brought that with me to show you. That was a bit dumb, but never mind. Over here, we have the hookah system. And this pumps air into the ring and pumps compressed air down to us under the water. So I can power up to 3 divers with this system, and we don't have to come up for air. As long as we're under 7 meters, we're okay. We won't suffer from the bends or anything like that. So there you go.
basic equipment and advanced equipment. Now, I just want to give you a few tips on how people lose gold. It's common sense, really, when you think about it. Grandmother comes in the water, she's got a little grandchild with her, bends down, oh, how are you doing, little baby thing? See where my ring is here? It's in the water, and this water's cold, so my fingers will shrink and the ring drops off. So you can always check in the shallows here where grandma's been with what do you call those? Granddaughter. And he said daughter then. Oh, maybe she's bathing her daughter. Who knows? Mummy does that as well. So moving on, shower blocks. People come to the beach, they've showered, they go out. What happens there? The water's not heated, the water's cold. So check round the shower block where people have a shower, you'll find gold. Check where people come into the beach, where the entrance of it, you'll also find gold there. Now, another way people use gold, see where I'm standing now? I put my hands in the water. How many people have you seen on the beach are standing like they're waving the water? Now, this water here is cold. I feel it. What happens? Same as I explained in the shallows there. Hands get cold, the gold falls off. So the tide's gone out here now. So this is where they'll be when there's no tide. When it's a little bit higher, you come in a little bit further in. So as you can see, just imagine what it's going to be like when you get to the beach. Where are the people going to walk? Where, oh, I nearly fell down a big hole there. Where are people going to have their hands in the water? Where did they swim? So there you are, there are pointers. And by the way, if you find fishing weights, the lead fishing weights, that is where you're going to find the gold because it's the same density and weight usually. So remember, quite simple really, isn't it? It's just to think about and put yourself in the position as if you were swimming in this fjord in Norway. Well, here I am back in the water. I'm going to show you how I recover a fine. I've got Gordon here. He's in the dry suit and has got the camera so we can show you. So let's, I had the signal here before, so we'll just see if we can find it. So I'm swinging my coil. You see how I'm swinging it there? There's a signal. You see how I'm spotting it? I'm moving the coil back. Signal drops off, move it forward. I know it's there now. Forward a bit. Signal dropped off, come back a bit. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to put my foot to the right hand side of the coil, how I do it there. Move my scoop away, my detector away. Take my scoop, just the side, and I'm going to push down like that. Digging it in deep, pulling it up. Gordon should be capturing that. Oh. Pull that up like that. Give the scoop a shake. See, notice the large holes in the scoop give me that. There we have a gold ring, live on camera. No joke.
I don't believe that.
There we go. Have a view of that. Don't swear on it, I just found it. It's a corker. Well, after an hour and a half of detecting, let's see what we found here. I found a plate to put it on as well. What are the odds on that? Pat wants me to turn them around, but I won't do that, they'll fall off. I have a bit of a Norwegian plug, looks like gold, and sounds the same as well on the detector. Quite a few coins. There we go, it's a 20 krone. It's about just under £2 in English money. Got a few of those. We also have a small child silver ring. Gordon thought it was flipping Viking when he first saw the pattern on it. And then the creme de la creme, the gold. 14 karat gold ring there, wide band, very nice. So there you can see, very rewarding.
Next, we make our way to a farm in the Buckingham area to try a slightly deeper section of the River Ouse.
Okay, we're at the upper reaches of the Ouse, which is a very, very good area. People have been detecting on the fields all around this river. Nobody's actually gone into the river until now. So I'm hoping this is going to be untouched. We going to get in there, we're going to find some Roman coins, and it's going to be a good day.
Since the water here in some places would be over our waders, we unload the gear.
Get set, go!
Get into our dry suits. And sometimes putting on these suits isn't that easy.
Ah! Crump!
And of course, Gary can always rely on that extra helping hand from me.
Yeah, I'm having to use a fork. Let's get this stuff out. It's very, very soft. It's like soft clay.
This location is a lot different from the river ford where I found that Celtic piece last year.
Fork just gets bunged up as well.
It was firm mud rather than hardpack. Walking on hardpack is a bit like walking on a concrete path, while mud is obviously softer.
Infuriating. I didn't think we were gonna need a scoop today, so we left them stupidly at home.
This is a good lesson to learn. Always double check your equipment before you go detecting. Otherwise you could end up struggling like we did here.
This is the hardest way of doing this. It should be on the spade, but it's not going to be on there. Probably fell off the spade halfway up. Next time, always bring scoops. There you go. Right, you need that. You want to go... You felt how hard that was when it came in?
Yep.
What I suspect that is, all along that edge,
Okay.
right, is the original river.
Yeah.
And it's moved back over it. And where that bit there is
Yeah.
that was really hard. I expected to sink into that when we actually got into it.
Yeah.
So I would detect, go back about there, go along that edge. It's going to be very, very soft. Just break it up and pick it up with your hands. It's not very deep. You don't
Okay,
use diving
great, yeah.
gear.
There you
So
go.
give that a bash. I'm going to go down and get this bloody thing.
Are you?
Well, actually, I didn't. Sometimes the finds just won't come up, no matter what you do. But I sent Gary over to detect what I think is the old river edge, because any finds there should be older as well.
Look at that. What's that, God?
That way. Let's see.
It's a Roman.
Joking. That is a Roman coin.
I know that.
Yeah.
What sort?
And it's early. Looks like 1st century.
What metal's that?
Looks like it's orichalcum, which is Roman brass.
Roman brass.
My name is Boris. I am invincible.
Since I wasn't having any luck in the centre of the river, and because Gary had just found a Roman coin near the river bank, I decided to have a go along the edge as well.
What is funny is, this is where we got in, and there's a signal just coming out, and there's a signal there.
Because where there's one Roman coin, there's usually more.
Yeah. It's a coin. It's a Roman coin. It's amazing how they come out all shiny out of this clay. I don't think it's a very good one, but there's a head on it. And you've got a typical river patina, what I call a river patina, where it's copper, but you can see how it's got like an artificial patina. And that's Antoninus Pius, by the look of it. I reckon this river will come back with scoops.
Yeah.
There's no point in diving. Come back with scoops, and I'm pretty sure we're going to find a lot of these. When you start finding 1st century coins, they've usually been tossed in, and you can find sort of 50, 60 in a stretch like this. It's a weaker signal, so it's probably deeper.
We were going to get out and call it a day at this point, but then I had another signal.
Yes, it's another signal. Oh, it's deep, it's hard clay. I thought it was unusual when we got in here, how soft it was. And this is like hard clay. It probably is the original river bed that's been silted up. The silt then turns almost like a clay. Just right still in the hole that I dug. This is down probably 8-9 inches. Hey!
Look at that! Look at that!
I think it's a coin.
You think? Let me see,
Yeah.
let me see that. Whoa.
Yeah. So I must have dug the hole and it was sticking straight out the side. Actually, it's a lot later than the other one.
How later?
It looks like it's a 3rd century, probably 200 years
After the other one.
after the other one.
Sweet.
And this is what water detecting is all about. When you're on the fields, you get them, they come out green or corroded with all the fertilizer they put on the ground. But in the river, they still shine. Give it a GPS. Yeah.
The last thing we do before leaving is take a GPS reading of the finds location for inclusion on UK DFD, which is our finds database. So there you go. 3 nice coins out of that one small section of river.
Right, well, we've returned to the River Ouse, where Gary and myself found some nice Roman coins last time, and we're going to go to the river. Looks perfect for some wading and some scooping of some more finds.
So off comes all the gear again. You gotta either be a hardcore detectorist or a bit insane, or a little of both, to go to this much trouble for a few detecting finds. But it's sort of a trap, really. You get the gear to be able to detect in the water, and you start thinking about all those places that have probably never been searched. So we get back in the water, in the same location as the day before, and Gordon goes after that signal he couldn't recover. But as we were taking turns detecting and filming, Gordon pulled up that signal, and we got an unpleasant shock. It was a piece of broken safety glass that had been tossed in the river, and Gordon then realized that a lot of the oddball signals he'd been getting were probably from the different pieces of broken glass, and that it was all over the area. Now, since this was a major safety hazard to us, we immediately got out the diving gear. We were very near the area where Gordon found that nice little Celtic piece the year before, so we headed to that location. Trouble with that area was that all of our equipment had to be taken over in the boat because we had no direct road access to that part of the river. But the advantage we had there was to be able to test out the new diving gear in a familiar location.
Thank you. It's quick. All I can do, I can see your knife on your knees, and that's it. I don't think we're going to get any better than that.
Now this is just under the surface, and the water is nice and clear. Hello there, Gordon.
See my foot now? No. See my detector? Not yet.
But then as Gary got down toward the bottom of the river with the camera, it looked like this.
It's clearing a little.
Every swing of the coil churned up more and more junk. But this is what you'd have to deal with in a lot of locations if you wanted to try for the good finds. However, even with the murky water, Gordon still managed to find something really exceptional.
There's a bloody fishy way. Oh, no. Let's have a look. Oh, well. The system works well. That it? That's it? That's a wrap? I think that'll be good footage. I hope so, but I couldn't see. It's not as easy to see as you think.
So endeth our first test of detecting with the diving gear. Gary and Gordon got some valuable experience with the diving gear and underwater camera, for the other sites we'll detect. There it is, Gordon's first dive recovered find. He was so proud.
Now, after some much needed rest and food,
I want some fish and chips.
we're off to a location where we detect on a river ford that's been partially destroyed by dredging.
Okay, Gordon, we're going to your mate Steve, aren't we now?
Yep, Steve's very lucky. He's got his back garden goes right down to the River Ouse, and while he was paddling around in there, like you do, he told me that as he was walking downstream, there was a sudden drop-off, and I knew from experience that if there's a sudden drop-off, there's a very good chance that it's actually a ford there. The first time I went on there, up came a really nice Roman coin, so quite excited to what could be still there.
So I'd like for you carrying the camera.
And as per usual, no direct road access to the place we want to be. So we cart our stuff down about 100 yards to the water.
Okay, here we are again on the River Ouse. This is a really interesting site because there's an old ford here where they've actually dredged over the last few years. This has exposed this ford, and it's very interesting to see. What we're standing on is a rock solid surface where people have actually gone through over hundreds of years and actually compacted the gravel into a hard pack. But because of the dredging has damaged the river, and as the water's come over the ford, it has dug a big hole out over the side of the side here. And we have a massive drop off which drops down out about 2 or 3 meters. It's probably going to be about 3 or 4 meters deep. So we're going to get in there with diving equipment later on, but this is what you're looking for. When you're if you're searching for sites, you're after these hard pack level crossings. On these sort of fords, I found Celtic coins in the past, I found Roman coins. They drop in as the horses go through, they make indentations, the coins drop in, then the gravel builds up over the coins, and they get sealed in there. So when you actually find one, you sometimes need a crowbar to get them out. You whack the crowbar in, loosen it all up, and you can bring out coins still shiny, mint condition. One of the things you should do as you walk down a river before you detect it is just to check to make sure that there's no drop-offs. Okay, what I normally do is I get into the river, I walk downstream, checking all the way down, just to make sure that there's no holes or anything. I then turn around and I detect back up the area that I've actually walked down. So I know that there's going to be no nasty surprises. But this is why, you should always be careful, because this feels lovely and solid, okay? But there could be a drop off at any point, okay? Now, if I was to walk downstream detecting, I'd be kicking up the muck, as you can see in the water. There's lots of muck being kicked up, and I wouldn't see where that drop off was, and I could literally fall off the edge if I wasn't probing the area before me. When we're detecting, we're mainly looking for non-ferrous items, but you shouldn't just dig up non-ferrous items. If you get a large piece of iron, the iron can be preserved perfectly in water. So the stuff that you would ignore on land can be really, really desirable if you dig it out of the river. So if you get a big iron signal, be tempted just to have a look. I've had hippo sandals in the past. These are Roman horseshoes. I've even had a Saxon spear, and when the Saxon spear came out, it was still shiny. There was no rust on it. It was perfect condition. Right, this particular ford, there isn't a lot of iron, so I can swing quite fast to cover the area quite quickly. If there was a lot of iron, it's best to really slow it down and try to actually pick the positive, the non-ferrous signals in between the iron. On this particular ford, I've already found a few Roman coins, and I'm literally just searching now for any that I may have missed. Another missing signal. Now, sometimes the reason for signals disappearing like that, because it's not down there anymore, and it wasn't in the scoop. Sometimes bits of tin foil, they can, as you disturb them, the current can pick them up and take them away. That's a very, very common reason for losing signals in the river. I don't need to scoop that one up. Another pull ring. Pop it in there, another bit of rubbish removed. And it won't turn up 1 mile downstream when I'm searching that part of the river.
Before we lose our daylight on this day, we break out the diving gear and prepare to have a go at the dredged off part of this river ford. Plus, Gordon and I are already pretty tired, and we don't want to start a dive when we're already exhausted.
Right, we're now going to get into the that drop-off that I showed you earlier. We're going to go in and just have a look around. I've always wanted to have a look and see what was in that drop-off, as I found Roman coins up on the ford, and anything that's fallen off of there hopefully is going to be there to be found. And Gary's brought this equipment along, and this is going to give us the opportunity to finally get to see what's deep down there. Maybe nothing, but it's worth a look.
As you can see, visibility isn't much better than in that other location, but I think my camera skills are getting better.
Okay, I got a signal. Have you got a signal, Gordon? Okay. Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Just checking. Yep. Doing fine.
Gordon's using his knife to break up the hard pack bit, same as he did with the bar and the Celtic find earlier.
Is it hard pack, Gordon?
It's very, very hard pack, yeah. I mean, once you get in, it should get nice and soft.
So it's just a crust then?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
Roach.
Oh, here, we've seen it. Don't move. Hold it all right. Coming in. It looks up. Is that a brooch?
That is a
Wait there,
brooch.
Kevin. I've lost you. Stay there. Got you now. Hold it there. There you are, everybody. Look at that. Looks like a Roman brooch to me.
Yeah.
And it rises out of the water like Excalibur. The sword, not a detector.
Yeah. Roman brooch.
Absolutely brilliant.
Right, well, there you go. We found this little brooch down in the deeper waters below the ford.
Yeah.
I think, because this was such a weak signal, I think that we're going to find stuff on the ford still. I've taken all the deep, big signals out, but I have a feeling these tiny little signals, we can still get some on the ford. So
Yeah.
let's get to it.
I agree with that.
Let's
Get the
to it
detectors out and get finding them.
and work on this. It's only a foot or so deep, so we should be able to cover this area, and hopefully we'll have some more. What I reckon we should do is if we detecting pinpoint.
Yeah, or metal.
Okay, because the signals are very, very small.
Okay.
Once you actually get a signal, say beep, 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 take a scoop or something and actually run over it and try to move it. If you move it, it will be rubbish.
Yeah.
Because everything is in that hard stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so move it with your foot, however you can. If it moves, forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay, or if you can get it easily, then pick it up and throw it away. But what we want, and there's probably going to be only 4 or 5 signals.
Yeah.
We want the signals that don't move.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to get the Barford bar
Right.
and actually loosen it up and get them out.
Okay.
So we go detecting for a while. Most of the signals we found on this hard pack were actually rubbish on top of the surface, rather than being embedded in the crust, so we left most of those alone.
If I mention it's in my hand. Okay, so which bit of that? So which bit is giving the signal? Because it all looks like stones to me. Aha, it's in my hand. There it is. That's how sensitive these detectors are in pinpoint mode. Tiny little bit of iron. It's half of a pair of pliers, isn't it? It certainly isn't Roman though.
Are you sure?
Well, it's got a plastic handle, so plastic usually means it's a lot later than Roman times.
Gordon had said earlier that good signals would probably be few and far between, and he was right. However,
It was only after that Roman brooch we just found there, and it was a very, very weak signal. I thought I'd come back and have a look at some of these very weak signals here. And I've got one here, which I can't see now because Pat stirred up the mud at my feet. But it's at my feet, so hopefully once it clears... Right, there we go. So it's cleared now, and it's just there. Because we're on the hard ford now, this is the hard ford, we want stuff that's in the forward surface. We don't want anything on this which is on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rake across it and actually try to move if it's anything that's on the surface. And as long as it's still there, I get more excited. And it is still there, still in the same place. So I'll do it again. It's just there. And what I'm hoping for is if it doesn't move this time, then I'm going to get very excited. And it's still there. So last time, and then we're going to get the crowbar if it's still there. Affectionately known as the Barford bar. And it's still there. So this is getting good. So I'm just going to brush it with my hand. Please let it still be there. Okay, we need the crowbar. Or give me the little Swifty. We're not going to go deep, we just need to loosen up the surface. Okay, the trick is to actually put a small hole in the surface and then go backwards and forwards, not towards the find. So you're actually loosening up the gravel behind the find. By going backwards and forwards, you're making the hole deeper. And then when you get deep enough, you can then break it up. Just the surface. It's only a small hole you're making. Okay. And then you move the gravel out of the hole with your hand, and you'll put a small hole in behind. Okay, so there's our hole, just there. I don't know if you can see that. And there's where the find is, just there. Okay, so we're going to carry on making that hole a little bit deeper. Pull out some of this rubbish out, spoil. Right, moved it now. Okay.
So it's there.
There it is. It's a Roman brooch.
Goodness.
And you've got, I mean, wow, that's a nice brooch. It looks like it's got enamel, isn't it? It looks like it's got stones or something on there. You still see the river crustaceans in there. Wow, that is one hell of a brooch. And I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. Is it? It's definitely a Roman brooch. Yeah. There's the pin there. Yeah. Oh, no, I got it now. There's the catch plate there.
Right.
So there's the spring, there's the catch plate. But I've never seen anything like that with that part on that catch plate. But you can see what I mean, how the stuff comes out of the river, how it's all sort of shiny. And this will all just come off really, really easy. If you get close up there, you'll see that this is all loose, and this will come off. This will come off. You know, it's best to do it under a microscope, but that will all come off, and that will be absolutely shiny like that. But that's what river detecting's about. Okay, you found that had been on the field beside here. It had been green and corroded and horrible, but this is literally the condition it was when it was actually lost. Brilliant.
So with a couple of brooches in hand, we pack up our gear and race back to Gordon's place. He has one thing on his mind at this point: clean and identify that last really nice brooch that he found.
Now for the bit that's nearly as enjoyable as actually finding the find, and that is to use a microscope and mechanically clean it.
Very interesting. It's like a very, very fine quartz sand silt that's filled up all the gaps. Just slowly work my way out. This is a dream where it's all coming off. None of it's actually stuck to the brass material. Oh, coming off so easy. Now I've got to be careful of the central decoration because it's almost like it's hinged. It actually moves. I'm cleaning around where these raised like jewels are, and it really is well worked. I mean, this is a work of art. And this whole bezel that sits on the foot just above the catch plate actually is obviously, it swivels. I don't know how, until I fully clean it, I don't know how far it'll actually swivel, but it's actually loose, so it would have jingle-jangled. This is very nice, and the condition is amazing.
So there you go, cleaned and ready for inclusion on the UK DFD Finds database. And there's the validation on the website too. It turns out that the brooch was even older than we first thought. Instead of 1st century-ish Roman, it was actually a 4th to 3rd century Iron Age Celtic brooch. And as you can see, it cleaned up really nice. Absolutely fantastic find.
Okay, river finds. What did you find here? What have you got here? What's this first one?
Right, the first one is a 1st century Roman brooch. As you can see, there's no green patina on it like you would expect to find from a field. It's literally as it was lost. You can imagine that on somebody's toga.
Yeah.
Went down to the river, washed their toga, off it dropped, and
so that's how it looked when it came out of the water, when you found it?
Exactly, yeah. In amongst the gravel, all I saw was that part of it, and I thought, whoa.
Was it in the hard pack?
No, this was actually in a soft sort of clay mud.
Okay.
So yeah, but it does have the same condition that you would find in hardpack. I mean, the coin here, this was actually found in hardpack, and as you can see,
it's like it's still.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like gold, but it's not. It's made of brass or a calcum.
Roman brass. Yeah. It looks so good, it almost looks like it's fake.
Yeah, a lot of people, the 2 responses I get is, that's gold. The other response is, yeah, that's a repro.
Sorry mate, mine's Christmas chocolate money.
Yeah. That's the condition they can come out like.
Beautiful.
And that's Trajan, that's again 1st century.
Can I pick it up?
Yeah, sure, why not?
What's that?
That is a 17th century book clasp. Now the reason I chose this was because you can see the condition that's in. It's still got the polished surface where somebody was polishing it, and it's completely survived. The Romans, although they're in very good condition, the very surface almost etched off by the river action.
So
but that's perfect.
A book clasp. What do you mean a book clasp? What did it do?
Book clasp. The books were so valuable back then. They used the book clasp to actually hold the book closed to keep the pages fast.
So it hooked on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all that. And the last piece I bought.
I would guess that would have been a shield boss, but
it's not.
It's not. I was wrong. Oh well.
No, this is from a harness pendant. But what's really interesting about it is that it's got a completely iron back, which has survived. And as you can see, it's black, not rusty. And that's the condition that iron can come out of the rivers. Very, very.
How long have you had it out? How come it hasn't rusted? I thought iron rusted.
When I first found it, I treated it with oil, just put oil on it. Now, there was an old, I don't know if you remember, your granddad may have had tools. And in the olden days, what they used to do is let the tools go rusty and then rub oil into it. And that should, as long as they don't touch it too much, that should never rust.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very nice.
But dig your iron. I'll say the iron can be the best finds that you can find.
Lovely stuff.
Well, I haven't got my gold. That gold ring I found.
Yeah.
Which you gave me.
You didn't give it to your wife, did you?
No, she nicked it.
Yeah.
In fact, I told you before she takes it, she put it in the drawer at work, ready to weigh in for the next load. So when I get back, that's what I'm going to do. It can be very rewarding, this hobby, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, from Pat and Gordon, myself, Gary, we hope you've enjoyed the DVD. You have a lot of information there. If you have any questions, log on to www.minelabowners.com. You'll see us all there. And post them up, and we'll try and answer them as well. Yep. Well, here's to the next one. What do you reckon, guys?
Sounds good.
Yep. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.
Bye.